On this one loop, I had TM88, London on the track got on it, Southside got on it. This one loop of mine has probably gotten to probably like 8 different artists. They've lived a life, they drive crazy cars and shit. Like half the time that shit is not true. These people are lying. He's high as fuck, like falling asleep in the chair, like while you're playing beats. And that feeling is the worst. It happens a lot more than you think it does. The hardest workers I know, like they don't really sleep. Like seriously, they're just always working. Yes, you can make a lot of money off music, but you also can make zero money from music. And that's what people need to understand. Like,
w tym odcinku będę rozmawiał z Aleciem, czyli producentem ze Stanów Zjednoczonych. Produkował on dla takich artystów jak DaBaby, Tusi, Fredo Bank, czyli Lil Popa. Porozmawiamy sobie o bardzo wielu kwestiach przydatnych każdemu producentowi. O zdobywaniu placementów, o nawiązywaniu kontaktów, o tym jak robić dobrą muzykę i największe błędy producentów. No a także o wielu bardzo ważnych rzeczach z tym związanych. Także bez zbędnego gadania już lecimy z tym. What's going on, guys? Today I'm with Alec.
How y'all doing?
First of all, tell me how long you've been making beats.
I've been making beats since I was 14. I'm 18 now, so about 4 years. Honestly, been taking it serious for about 4. Like I started taking it serious as soon as I started.
That's the best scenario, I think. So tell me, like, how did you get that baby placement? It's probably your biggest placement.
That song came about pretty weird, actually. My boy Noble, I sent him a starter like a long time ago, and he took like my vocal stem from the starter and he added the stem on top of another loop. So I just got the placement because of like he just used my vocal stem. So that placement honestly came about super weird. That vocal ended up being like the flow inspiration for DaBaby, so like it kind of got used as writer's credits as well. All I did on that song was just the vocal. That's like probably my smallest song, but it's weird because it's the biggest artist, but it's the smallest song. It's like weird. It's kind of weird how the music industry works. Like
it happens probably, yeah. And I gotta ask about the latest placement with 2 upcoming rappers, Ian and Vonov. How did that placement came about?
That came about so quick. That song, they recorded that song last week or whatever, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. They recorded it. My boy needed beats for them like right that second, so I just sent him a zip to my beat and he added his sauce on it, sent it to them, and they rapped on it and filmed the video the next day. It dropped so quickly. Like it's not usual for stuff to drop within a week in the music industry. Like if you get a song with somebody, it's not going to drop for like a year. It could not drop for a year, it could not drop for 3 years, it could not drop for a week. You don't know, it could never drop, you know. I got super lucky with this one. Like it just happened to drop the same week, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, it came about super quick. Like it was like this, like one day, like they recorded, the next day they filmed the video, the next day I got paperwork.
That's crazy. Yeah. You think they're gonna blow up?
The song, I know it was like number 20 or number like 18 trending on YouTube or something, but I think I caught them at a good time because Ian right now is like, he's still going up, you know, he's still on his trajectory, and Vonhoff too, like they're both still on their incline. Like they haven't hit their peak yet, which I think is like the best time to get a song with an artist. Once they hit their peak, like people will be listening to these songs, so it's just, I don't know, this is like the best time. I got super lucky with how the timing of it, honestly.
Does not happen very often, probably.
Not at all.
So like you working with other producers, like in the studio, like you was on the video with TB, with Cloud and stuff. Like, do you prefer making beats with other people in like some house or studio, or just you when you're alone in your house?
I definitely prefer making beats with people, but I prefer making beats with like people like I'm friends with, homies. Like I've known TB for like 4 years now. I've known TB since I started making beats, and I've known Cloud for God knows how long. Like Cloud, TB, like Mac, like Juco, like all of us have been cooking up together since we were all young. I prefer cooking up with people that I've known for years and like that I'm friends with, that like I started up with, like people that like have known me since before I had any placements and before they had any placements. Like I've known like Juco, you know Juco?
Yeah, for sure.
Me and Juco used to be on Zoom together like 4 years ago before either of us had any placements, and we would just like make loops together, like the shittiest loops, bro. Like we would be on Zoom making these loops like before any of us had placements. So like I don't know, I think it's the sickest when you grow with somebody. Like when you grow with people, it's a lot different from when you start working with somebody once they've already made it. That's my biggest, like I just prefer working with people that I've been friends with, that I know, that like I know how they cook up. Like I love collaboration, but I also sometimes I don't like collaboration because a lot of the time, like especially out here, ever since I moved to Atlanta, like you're in studios with a lot of new people, and a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but sometimes cooking with new people kind of sucks because like you'll make something, you'll get off the laptop and they'll get on the laptop, and then it's just they make some shit and it's just like they ruin the beat. I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth, you know, like they do that. Not every time, like, but a lot of time it does happen. It's kind of, it sucks. Like when you give someone the beat and they ruin it and you're just like, oh, like what can I do now? You know? So it really depends on who I'm collaborating with, but I definitely would prefer collaborating with people.
You said you moved to Atlanta. You moved to Atlanta like to work with artists and producers. That was just your goal, or you moved because of the music stuff to really expand that and all of that stuff?
I moved for music only. I mean, really, there's not much more else to do in Atlanta, honestly. I've been saying I'm going to move here since I was like 16. 16 or since I was like 15. Like where I lived, there was like no music scene for real. I lived close to LA. I was 2 hours away from LA, but like I prefer Atlanta over LA any day. So I just decided like this is the best place to move, like work with as many people as I can. Working with people in person is way better than working with people online. Like when you show your face in sessions and people know who you are, like by your face, a lot more easier for you to grow your brand. People know, okay, this Instagram is this guy that I met, like, and they'll remember you, you know, like it's harder to be memorable when you just know them online. Showing your face is really important. So I just thought like moving out here would be the best for my network.
Yeah, right. Do you make a living of your music already? And what's your main source of income, let me say?
It's very like weird, right? Like I did for a long time, I was making a living off of music. But the one thing about music that people don't understand is the music money is very inconsistent, right? Like 1 month you can make a lot of money, 1 month you can make zero. A lot of people, the supporters, like beginner producers see online, they've lived a life, they drive crazy cars and shit. Like half the time that shit is not true. These people are lying. Yes, you can make a lot of money off music, but you also can make zero money from music. And that's what people need to understand. Like I have made a good amount of money and I have made zero money off of music. Like I'm living off it. I was living off it. Like now I'm living off it, but I'm probably gonna get a side job just because like it's easier to like pay rent and stuff, you know, to get a side job. And there's nothing wrong with getting a job. Like I think it's really regular to get a job as a producer, like until you really can blow up. But that's the thing people don't understand is like people think one placement will change your life, and that's just not the truth. Like one placement will not change your life. Like almost all the money I made off music was all off kits. I used to be signed to Producer Grind, and that was like all the money I made was off of my kits. That was the main source of income. Like placements really weren't. Like unless you get a Drake song or like a big like country song, like a Morgan Wallen song, you're not going to see like a lot of money, you know? And that's just, people don't understand that, but that's just the truth.
Would you say that more than one source of income is gonna be probably better? Because like you said, when it comes to placements, you can make like 0 1 month.
I think, yeah, you need different sources of income, but there's so many different routes you can take as a producer. Like you can be a content creator. Like look at TB, right? TB's a full content creator. He doesn't really get placements. Like he doesn't focus on placements. Not because he doesn't want to get placements, just because he doesn't focus on it. He doesn't care. Like he was focused on the YouTube and the kits and all the content stuff. But then there's like people like Cloud. He does content here and there, but like really like he's mainly a placement guy. Like he's always in the studios, like with big people, like working on songs, like always making stuff, you know? So there's different ways to make money. And then there's Mac, for example. Mac does everything.
Yeah.
Mac does everything. That kid does everything. So it's just like, it depends. Like I know people who make different types of money off music. There's a lot of different sources of income, like hits, content, placements, selling beats, type beats. Forget everything else. You can do type beats too. I never even did type beats, but I know people who are successful off type beats, and I also know people who can't find success off type beats for their life because it's very hard, you know? So it's just, there's so many different routes.
Yeah, that's facts. And going back to the thing you said about the IG thing, like somebody posting their cars and stuff, you in this video with Mac, Cloud and TB, and you made a good point, like very good point with this stuff, like some producers like multi-platinum, they get a job and stuff. So like some people don't know the truth maybe about all of this stuff. It's like you can make money, but like you said, it's not always like this, like they show it in the IG, for example.
Exactly. Yeah, it's, you never know what the truth is. Like Instagram is all like it's not fake, but it's like it's kind of fake. Not saying that everyone you see is lying. Like Bricks, for example, Bricks isn't lying. Like Bricks really drives a Lambo. I've seen the Lambo. Like it's a real Lambo, you know? Like he pulled up in that shit to TV's house. Like I've seen it. So like people aren't, not everyone's lying, but a lot of people are kind of stretching the truth, you know? Like, oh, like I'm making all this money. Like no. And also the people you don't know about, like there's producers that have like 1,500 followers on Instagram that make more money than people that I know that had to have 20,000 followers. Seriously, like you never know. Like everyone's different. So just people need to understand that like what you see on Instagram isn't always the truth, and like you can't base what you want for your career off of that, because a lot of the time it's just a lie. You just got to do what's best for you. Like you just got to focus on yourself. Like don't compare yourself to other people. Don't look at other people on Instagram and be like, oh, I want to be like this. Oh, I want to be like this. Like no, be yourself. Like do your thing, and something will happen. Like seriously, every time if you just commit, it'll happen. You can't look at other people and like be like, oh, I want to be like this guy.
Facts, but I think we know this, but we still kind of struggle with this. We kind of still, it gets to our heads like, damn, like I want this, like what this guy doing, like it's hard. No, it is. And I struggle with the same thing. I struggled with that for so long, and until I realized that the reason nothing was going on for me was because I was comparing myself. I didn't have anything going on. Like I didn't get a placement for like a year and a half, and then this Ian drop came. So it's just like you never know. And like I moved to Atlanta and I said like I need to commit, like I need to get something, you know? And it just happens. Like it just happens. But like when you work, it's going to happen. Like if you commit all your time to making music and to sending shit out, it's going to happen. Like you're going to get a song. That's the thing people don't understand. Like you just have to work. Like it's almost all consistency more than it is like talent and like how good you are. Because like I know people who are probably the best loop makers
makers online, but they have zero placements because it's simple. They just don't send out enough and people don't look at their stuff enough. But then there's people like Juco who send out every single day. There's a reason Juco gets so many placements is because he literally sends out every day. He does not miss a day. So think about this, like as a big producer in your email, you see two different loop makers. Who would you rather choose? Would you rather choose some random guy that you really don't know, or Juco, who you know has been sending to you every single day for the past whatever 2 years? Like you're rather going to choose the guy who's been sending every single day because consistency. Like that's the reason like all these big loop makers get their placements because they send out every day. It's all consistency.
Yeah, that's a huge advantage. And going backtrack a little bit, what would you say to the producer that wanna get his first major placement? You kind of responded to that with the consistency, working hard and stuff, but maybe there are some tips, maybe some gems you can share to really get that first major placement.
Really, the sauce to getting your first major placement is you have to send the right loops to the right people. And what I mean by that is like a lot of people have fire loops on their computer. Like you could be making like 15 loops a day for all I know. I don't know. But it doesn't matter if you make all those loops. It's the fact that if you send them or not. If you're not sending the loops out, you just have loops on your computer going nowhere. That's where a lot of people mess up, is they make all these loops, they send a pack out once a week, and they're like, why am I getting no placements? It's simple, because you're sending out a pack to a bunch of people of a bunch of different loops. Like there's no like direction. But like the best way to get a song is, okay, if you know, for example, Lil Durk is working on an album, and you know you have Lil Durk loops, you DM every single person you know that has access to that placement. Every person, like it doesn't matter. Any person who you know can be working on this album or could maybe have some sort of connection, you hit them up and you send them the best loops you have for Lil Durk. You know, you have to send the right loops to the right people. Like don't send them virtual loops because they're not going to use them. You got to send them the loops that you know they're going to use. It's very simple. But also getting a placement isn't easy. Like you're not going to get it tomorrow, you know? You have to keep working and keep working. And even when you work that hard, like you could be sending all your best stuff and you still might not get something. That's okay. You have to know within yourself that you worked as hard as you can to get that placement. It's going to happen at some point. Like when you put your mind to it, like seriously, like when you put your mind to something and you say, okay, I'm going to do this. Like I'm going to keep sending this like stuff out every single day until I get a song with this guy. You're going to get a song with that guy. I promise you. I've watched it happen with different people. That happened with me with Ian. I've been talking about getting an Ian song for so long. I had no clue it was going to happen. It just did. When you just send and send and send and send, eventually something's going to happen. And especially if it's hard. If your stuff is hard, it's a lot more likely to get placed than it is not, you know? So it's really just consistency.
Like you can be hard, but you need that mindset and that work ethic, right?
Yeah. Work ethic is a big thing. And I've struggled with work ethic, like huge. The past like 2 years before I moved out here, I had a terrible work ethic. I wasn't focused like on music. I was focused on hanging out with friends and whatever, so and whatever. It's literally like all work ethic. I have a lot of good like influences around me. I can see that like when you put a lot of work in, it's going to come out and you know, it's going to help. It's going to pay off at some point. It's just a matter of time.
So like, how does your day look like right now? Just regular day, working, grinding. How does it look like?
It depends if I'm trying to make loops that day or if I'm trying to make beats. I don't really plan anything out, which I should start doing. I think planning stuff out is a big help. I think people need to do that. Like I started doing it a little bit. I wake up, I get on my computer and I think, okay, who needs stuff right now? Like who do I have opportunities for? Who's working on an album? Like who needs stuff? And then I just make whatever I know, like, okay, I can send like a pack for this person and a pack for this person. I just work on packs for that. Like whether it's making zips for a producer or making beats for like an A&R or like a manager or like an artist, or it's making loops for somebody, like just knowing, okay, I have these opportunities to work on and I just start cooking. Usually cook on my own, like at my house until like nighttime. And then I usually go to a studio or go to someone's house to cook up with someone, collaborate. Really, it's just that every day. It's just cooking.
So you don't got much sleep, right? Or you got some decent
No,
amount?
I do get a good amount of sleep, but my sleep is messed up. Like I just woke up like 30 minutes ago and it's 2 o'clock. It's 2 p.m. You know, 2 days ago, I was with the Jets and Maids guys like Chensta and Ty and Austin, and we stayed up till sunrise. Left the studio at midnight, went back to their house, and we just cooked until sunrise. And I didn't go to sleep until 7:30.
I think it's gonna pay off anyway, so...
Exactly, and that's the thing, like, the hardest workers I know, like, they don't really sleep. Like, seriously, they're just always working. I know people who, like, literally, they don't sleep until, like, 8 a.m., which is ridiculous to think about. But, like, they don't go to sleep until 8 a.m., they don't wake up till 4 p.m. It's the same thing every single day, but it works for them. And honestly, those early morning sessions, like, from midnight to, like, whatever, 6 a.m., that's when everyone's working, in studios especially. You're going to get the most work within those hours. As much as it sucks, like, if you're a person who likes to go to sleep early, then maybe being in studios isn't for you, because that's simply not how it works. No one's going to be in a session at 3 p.m. You know, it doesn't happen. The best songs get recorded within midnight and 6 a.m. So you do have to, like, you have to compensate sleep, but it is what it is. Like, sleep's good. You need sleep, but, like, it's kind of overrated, you know?
What would you say is the big mistake that you see producers do just way too often? Mistake you see over and over again that producers do, and you think, like, that's not how it's supposed to be?
I think one is when people send out loops when they're not good at making loops yet. I think that's the biggest problem with people. You can't just start sending loops out the same week you started learning how to make loops. You can't. Like, you can, but just know that when you send those loops out, no one's going to use them because they're probably ass, you know? And that's the truth of it. Like, my first loops were ass, but I worked and worked and worked to work. At some point, once they got decent, I started sending them out. You have to make sure you're good at making loops, and like, you have a consistent, like, every 5 loops I make, 4 of them are fire. If you're making more 5 loops than you are mid loops, then it's time to send. But I see a lot of producers like send out loops and then they're ass. I'll open my email and I'll listen to them and I'll be like, okay, this is ass. Like, I'm not gonna open it again. And then it's fucked up, but I'm not gonna check that person's name again because I know in my head, okay, this person's ass. And maybe a year later, they're fired, you know? Maybe. Because you sent to me when you were ass, I automatically am gonna have that thought of, you're still ass, I'm not gonna use your loops. Like, it's all about first impression. Your first impression is very important. The first pack of loops you send to a person is very important because that first pack can make or break your relationship with them, you know? They also want this shit really quick. People want it like fast. People are like, I want a placement. I need to get a placement. Something that fucks up people too is the money. I've noticed that, and at least with me, this also happened. Like, when you start making some money, you start thinking, oh, okay, like, I'm good. Like, I don't have to work as hard anymore. No, that's the opposite of what you should be doing. That's what I did 2.5 years ago, and that's what made my trajectory kind of like decline. And now I'm back on the incline, but it took a long time to get back on the incline because I was like, oh, I don't need to, like, I'm making money, I'm good. And then no, because then once you have that mindset, you just start projecting down until you're like all the way at the bottom, and no one wants to be at the bottom. So don't let the money like change you. Like, don't let the money change the way you look at the music. Like, just make the music because you like making music. It's very simple. Like, you can maybe get one crazy BMI check, like a royalty check off of a song, but like, just don't even think about it. Like, be like, okay, cool, on to the next. I've seen a lot of producers who get one placement and then they bank off that one placement for like years. Like, they still talk about that one placement to this day. All the placements I got 3 years ago, I don't count them. Whether or not they're big or not, I don't count them because they're old. Like, that's not me anymore. I'm new now. Like, I'm a new person. I'm working on new stuff. Like, no matter how many placements you have, you gotta pretend like you have 0. As soon as you pretend you have 0 and you work like you have 0, you're going to work the hardest. Like, the best person example, you know, Hayes?
Yeah.
Hayes is probably the most consistent. He gets on every album. He's on every album. Hayes sends out loops as much as he would send out if he had 0 placements. Hayes does not have 0 placements. You know, he has countless placements, but he works like he has 0. Max the same way. Juco's the same way. They just work. It doesn't matter how many songs they get, no matter how many platinum plaques they get. They work. It's all working. Like, I definitely think people's biggest mistake is the money messing them up, sending out loops when you're not good. Also, like, the way you approach people is very important. If you're in a studio, like, meeting somebody, don't be a weirdo. I've seen it way too many times. Like, as producers, a lot of the time, we don't go outside, you know? That's the truth. Like, we don't go outside. You know, we stay on our computers inside and just make beats. Especially if you live in Europe. Like, I used to live in Europe, and when I was in Europe, I was in Spain, I did not leave my house. That was the era of when I literally just made loops, because there's no studios in Spain, you know? So all I did was just work. Once you do get in the studio with somebody, you got to make sure you're not a weirdo. Like, you just got to be a cool person that people like want to be around, and it'll work. Like, you just have to not be like weird. That's it. Because once you're weird, that first impression will mess you up. Like, if you're weird in that first session, they're not going to want to work with you anymore. And then you're going to be wondering, oh, why doesn't this person want to work with me? Because you were weird. Very simple. You have to be someone that people want to be around, not people that want to push you away, you know? That's very important.
So when it comes to that money thing and like being lazy and stuff, I think that's a big problem with getting complacent. And would you say that when you see results and stuff, when you see a little bit of money or placement, some people like get lazy? Would you say that surrounding yourself with people like Cloud, with people like Juco is really helping, for example, you to really keep up and seeing them as a motivation kind of to really be like, okay, I can't be lazy because of the thing I did. I gotta get some more and stuff?
No, 100%. I think if I didn't have the people around me that I do, I think I'd be in a different position. I think the most important thing, especially with beginner producers, especially when you're still starting up, start with people that are still starting up with you. Like, you guys are growing together. You're not going for the big dogs, like trying to work with Boy Wonder or like Hit Boy. Like, no. Like, you gotta work with people that have the same exact motion as you. And then eventually, like, you have to surround yourself with people that are doing better than you. Everyone around me, all my friends around me, almost all of them are doing way better than I am in the music industry. That's how it's supposed to be. You can't be the best in your group, because once you're the person that has the most motion in your group, you're in the wrong group. You gotta always surround yourself around people who have more than you, so you have something to work for. You know, it's motivation. Like, that's my motivation. Like, I have all these friends that have platinum plaques and like Grammy nominations and like all this stuff, and I've known these people since they had 0, you know? And so seeing them go from that to where they are now, it just gives you motivation. Like, I think surrounding yourself with people that are doing better than you is everything. It's so important. And I think people don't realize that, but it really is. Like, whenever I see someone starting to get a lot of placements, I tend to see that they're getting them with the same people, because those same people are the group they started with. And so it's very important to keep yourself around people who you fuck with, who are doing a little bit better than you, but not too better than you. They're just a little bit better than you, so you have somewhere to go. And so it's kind of like this, like, you know, you guys keep growing because this person's going to keep getting more and then you're going to keep getting more. And eventually it's just it keeps growing and growing until you have a Grammy nomination. It's that simple, honestly.
Right, but when it comes to reaching out to bigger producers, because we all do, like, what would you say are the rules you should stick to, or like, what's the good approach to really build that connection or relationship?
This is another place where I think people fuck up. Just know that when you DM a bunch of different big producers, they're not going to answer. Like, not everyone's going to answer you. Like, don't expect them to answer you. Like, I've DM'd so many people, and I couldn't even count to you the comparison of how many people didn't answer me to how many people did answer me. Like, it's probably like this. Like, it's probably not even comparable, you know? The biggest way you have a chance to work with somebody, what I do and what I used to do, you just DM them, you say, yo, like, I got loops for you, like, let's work. And then you send them a snippet or two of your loops. You send them just a video snippet. When someone DMs me like, yo, let's work, I'm probably not going to answer, especially if I can't hear your stuff on your Instagram. Because, like, I need to know if you're fire or not. But if you send me a snippet of your stuff, then I'll know, okay, like, you're actually hard. Sure, send me loops. The best way is send snippets of your stuff. DM as many people as you can. Like, if you DM 2 people, you're probably not going to get answers. If you DM 10 people, maybe you won't even get 1 answer. If you DM 100 people, you are going to get 1 answer. So it's like, it's very simple. The more people you DM, the more likely you are to get an answer. Like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You have to shoot the ball. Not saying it's going to get in the hoop, but like, you have to shoot it and shoot it and shoot it until it gets in the hoop. You just have to keep shooting your shot. I think that's where people mess up the most. Don't know how to approach people. Yo, let me send loops. I've worked with this person, this person, this person. I think also that too. I think don't DM someone to work with them and tell them like, oh, I've worked with this person, this person. Like, we don't care. The truth is, I don't care. Like, you could have worked with Drake, but if you're ass, like, I'm probably not going to work with you. And there's people that have Drake songs and that have like whatever Travis Scott songs that are ass, you know? Don't go in there like, oh, I've worked with this person, I've worked with this person. I don't care. If you're hard, you're hard. If you're not, you're not. Also, I'm a 13-year-old producer. Bro, I don't care how old you are. I used to see a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm a 13-year-old producer from fucking, I don't know, from Poland, for example. And like, that's awesome, bro. But I was also a 14-year-old producer doing this shit. Like, you're not supposed to use your age as an advantage. That's one thing I see a lot of loop makers do, is they try to use their age as an advantage. Bro, there's 12-year-olds that are harder than some like 30-year-olds in this industry. Like, your age does not matter. That's one thing that pisses me off. When someone hits me, it's like, yo, I'm a 14-year-old producer, I'm not going to answer you. Because like, the fact that you told me your age, why are you trying to use that as an advantage? Like, that's not an advantage. Yes, you're starting out younger. That's awesome. But I'm not going to start working with you because, oh, you're hard for a 14-year-old. Nah, bro. If you're hard, you're hard. If you're not, you're not. It's very simple. So DM people, yo, let's work. I got samples for you. And then send them a snippet or 2. That's it. The more shots you send, you have a bigger chance and likelihood of getting an answer back.
100%. Do you had any crazy situations, like, for example, with loop makers or like industry producers, or maybe in studio, like in your music journey in general, you had any crazy situations?
One, I mean, it's not like that crazy of a situation, but I'm going to say this for like beginner producers so they understand. Like, when I was 16, I was in LA with TB and like some of the producer grind guys, and we got in the studio with Blockboy JB and Yo Gotti. Like, we were in there for a good 4 hours, and once it was time for us to play beats, Blockboy JB was just falling asleep. Like, he was high as fuck. He was high as fuck, like falling asleep in the chair, like while you're playing beats. And that feeling is the worst. It happens a lot more than you think it does. That's the thing, and don't let that demotivate you. I think people expect like, okay, you're gonna get in the studio, you're gonna play a beat, and like the rapper's gonna get on it. Nah, like some of these rappers are so picky, bro. I'm not gonna name the rappers, but there's a lot of rappers in this industry that like if you get in the studio with them, like you're not gonna get a song with them. Like, there's one in particular that like everyone knows about in Atlanta. If you get in the studio with him, like you're not going to get a song. Like, he's very picky. So it's just, that sucked. I remember playing the beats and like he was just falling asleep right next to me, and I was like, are my beats that bad? Like, whatever. Like, just don't let that demotivate you. Like, he recorded one song the whole night, and it wasn't on any of our beats. It was on somebody's beats that sent him beats. That happens a lot, like where you'll be in a session and nothing will happen. But in sessions like that, you just have to network. If you didn't get a song, that's fine, but you got to make sure like, okay, let me get this guy's number and send him beats later, or let me get his email at least, or like his manager's number. So at least you came out of that session with some sort of something. You built your network just a little bit. That's probably the crazy situation.
So you should look for opportunities even in the bad conditions, right?
Yeah, you should. I mean, don't push it too. I think people push it a lot. Like, don't try and push it. Like, if the person doesn't want to work with you, don't push it. Especially in person. Like, yo, like, I got crazy beats for you. Like, let me get your number. If they don't want to give you your number, don't push for their number. Like, that's their number. I mean, I get it. Like, that's their privacy. That's the thing. I think a lot of producers are pushy. Because from friends, like, I've heard a lot of weird situations. Like, where someone, like, be super weird about getting someone's number. And it's just, they'll ruin their relationship because they're really, like, they make it super awkward of a situation. Like, you don't want to be awkward. Like, I think people don't understand rappers are normal fucking people. They're normal people, regular people. Like, they're just like us. You have to treat them like they're a regular person. You can't be in the studio, like, fanned out, like, oh my God, I love this guy's art music. I love it. No, like, you're a producer. Like, there's a time and a place to be a fan, and there's a time and a place to be a producer. Like, if this is your job and if this is what you want to do for the rest of your life, you got to treat it like it. You can't tell these artists, like, you love their music. Maybe maybe at some point, if you guys become close, be like, yeah, bro, I used to listen to you like way back in the day. Like you were my favorite artist. Like, nah, you just have to like kind of almost got to work with them. Like they're a regular person, bro. Artists are literally just regular people. And there's a lot of artists that like, yes, are a little like Hollywood and egotistical. And like, you can tell they're an artist by the way they act. But most of the time, like these artists are just regular dudes, And you just have to treat them like a friend. You just have to like, just as you would like at a party, like talk to a friend, you just talk to these artists the same way. And they will fuck with you more because you treated them like a normal person. It's that easy. You just treat people like normal people and something's gonna happen.
Yeah, some people don't understand that they gotta act like the human beings, like not some weird way when it comes to building relationships with producers and rappers as well, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. And I've seen it too many times, or I've heard stories too many times, like where people will mess up a relationship because they like someone's music too much. Oh, I love your music. I'm a huge fan. Like, bro, as soon as you say you're a huge fan, there goes your opportunity. They don't want to work with a fan. They want to work with somebody they think is hard. Treat them like a normal person. They'll treat you like a normal person. Something could happen from it. A month and a half, 2 months ago, I was at my boy's house. My boy K6. Everyone in Atlanta knows him. So I was at K6's house. His boy called him. He's like, yo, like, I got my homie from blah, blah. I'm not going to like name names because I don't want to like air anyone out. But he's like, yo, I got my homie from that's signed to this person here in town. Like, can we pull up? And he's like, yeah, for sure. Pull up. Bro, he pulled up. I'm cooking up at the computer. Out of nowhere behind me, there's 3 random dudes. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, okay, whatever. And I was like, let me just finish this beat and then I'll say hi to them. This guy walks up behind me with a beer in his hand and sticks it in my face. And I was like, what the fuck? Bro, I didn't even say hi to him. And I'm looking over. I'm like, bro, I'm good. I don't drink. Like, nice to meet you. Like, I'm Alec. And he's like, what's up, bro? I'm a gold platinum producer. I've worked with this person and this person and this person. I'm like, okay, bro. Like, cool. Automatically off the bat, I did not fuck with him. If you have to tell me what you've worked on, I don't care, bro. I don't like you. Just keep it a buck. That was just the start of it. He literally said that same phrase. I'm a gold platinum producer. I've worked with this person, this person. He said that phrase a good maybe 10 times. No joke. He said it 10 times, bro. I was like, bro, like, I get it. Like, I get it. Like, you're, bro, it was the most annoying shit. And as I'm sitting on the couch, like, I sit on the couch, he said it again. He, like, sits down and he's like, yeah, but I try and stay humble. And K6 was like, I was like, you're doing a terrible job, bro. Everyone started laughing. And, bro, just for the next, like, hour and a half that he was there, it was, like, probably one of the worst sessions I've ever had. Like, he's just the weirdest person I've ever had to deal with. He was drunk, but he was, like, not just, like, drunk. Like, he was fucking gone, bro. Like, he was barely walking. Like, he was not in the right mind to be in a cook-up. Like, not the right mind to be in a cook-up. Bro, this guy was tweaking. Like, every beat we were making, he was telling us how we're doing it wrong. And, like, he's like, let me call up my boy. Like, we need guitar on this. We need guitar on this. Like, let me call him. And, like, as we're making a beat, he'll be, like, call on the phone loud as fuck with somebody. Bro, we need guitar for this. Like, no, we don't, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Like, we were making this one beat, and he was like, bro, this isn't how you make a West Coast beat. Like, blah, blah. Like, bro, we're not even making a West Coast beat. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? 15 minutes passed by. 15 minutes earlier when we're working on this other beat, he's like, gotta call my guitar boy. We need guitar on this, blah, blah. Forget that beat, right? 15 minutes later passed, we're on a whole new beat, and this guy calls his friend. He's like, yo, bro, we need an E major chord for this, blah, blah. And then he looks at us and he's like, right, like, we need this guitar chord. And we're all like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? We made this beat 20 minutes ago. Like, we're on a new beat. Like, no, we don't need guitar. And everyone's looking at him like he's fucking crazy. And he, like, walks away on the phone. He's like, bro, my bad. These people don't know how to make beats, like, blah, blah. And we're like, yeah, you're a fucking weirdo, bro. That might have been, like, the weirdest session I've ever been. As soon as, like, they got there and a good, like, 15 minutes passed, I was gonna leave. I don't feel comfortable. I don't like these people. Like, bro, the first thing he did was stick a beer in my face and say, I'm a gold platinum producer. Bro, off the rip, I don't fuck with you. Like, it's very simple. Like, that's also some advice I have for somebody. Don't talk about what you've done. Don't be that guy that has talked about what they've done. You could be a multi-platinum producer. That's fire. But I bet you and I promise you that everyone that is a multi-platinum producer will not talk about them being a multi-platinum producer. I have been in the rooms with some big people, like, for producer grind interviews, and I've met, like Taz Taylor, Boy Wonder, like, Kenny Beats. Like, we were in the studio with them, like, recording these videos, and honestly, they might be the most humble, like, coolest people I've met. Like, the biggest people are the most humble people. Like, they're just normal fucking people. Like, it's usually the people who tiers in this. Like, there's a tier. Like, there's beginner producers, intermediate producers, producers with placements, you know, multi-platinum producers, platinum producers that, like, they're there, but they're not there yet. And then there's, like, the big dogs, like Southside, Wheezy, all them. The people with the most egos are the people, like, here. The people who got, like, 1 or 2 songs, they think they're, like, the shit. Don't let your ego carry you. Like, egos suck, bro. Egos suck. Egos kill relationships. If you start talking about what you've done and what, like, at that point, no one's gonna fuck with you. Also, don't be a selfish person. If you're in the studio and all you talk about is what you've done, you're a weirdo. That story, I think, is a good way to tell people what not to do. Don't talk about what you've done. Unless someone asks. If someone asks, like, yo, what you working on? Or what have you worked on before? Like, then you can, like, oh, I worked on the whatever album. That's different. If someone asks you, it's different. But if you were just off the rip talking about what you've done done, why would I fuck with you? I don't want to base my judgment on a person because of what they've done. I want to base my judgment off a person off of how like chill of a person they are, like how like I can talk to them, and how fire they are. Those are the two things. Placements do not count. Like, forget the placement. That shit does not matter. So that's my last piece of advice, is do not let your ego carry you. Like, don't talk about what you've done. You would think it's like everyone knows that, but people really don't know that. And so that's my biggest piece of advice, is just carry yourself humble. Just be humble. Like, just don't talk about what you've done.
So outside of all of the things you said, would you say something more to the producers that are trying to make it as a producer? Like, to the people that started now, you got any more advice you can think of? Like, of course, being consistent, building a relationship and stuff, but you got any more advice for the people who are trying to, for example, be in the same position as you?
Just going back to what I said earlier, I think just work on your craft. Make sure your stuff is fire. Like, you got to find your sound too. All of my favorite loop makers, for example, have their own sound. I know if I open this person's email, the loops are going to sound like this. Like, if I want a certain type of loops, I'm going to go to a certain type of person because I know they make those loops. You have to kind of build your sound. And not saying you can only make those loops. Like, I see too many times where, especially during the Nardowick era, every fucking person was in my email sending those dark melodies, bro. And they all sounded the same. Either those dark melodies or the pain melodies, bro. Everyone made pain melodies, and all pain melodies sounded the same, bro. I'm not going to use your loops if your loops sound like everyone else's. You just have to be unique in some sort of way. Like, you just have to grow your sound. And I think once you grow your sound, you'll see a lot more will happen. You know, a lot more people will use your stuff. I made this one loop like a couple months ago, and this one loop, like, probably one of the hardest loops I've ever made. And it's like such a unique loop. Swear to God, I have never in my life had that many big producers use one loop. Every single person that has heard that loop has used it. I'm talking about like the biggest of the bigs. Like, I've had hella people use this loops. Like,
Tell me who.
On this one loop, I had TM88, London on the Track got on it, Southside got on it. This one loop of mine has probably gotten to probably like 8 different artists. I was in the studio with SSG Kobe the other day, and he heard this loop, and I made this loop a couple months ago, and he heard this loop. He's like, who the fuck? He's like, bro, what the fuck is this loop? Like, this is a hit. Swear to God, like, I'm not even making this shit up. But that's because it was such a unique loop. It was a different sounding loop, like, that you haven't really heard. It's a hit. It sounds like a hit. You just have to make fire shit that's unique, that like you won't get from somebody else. You have to bring value. Like, one thing I will say to beginner producers, you have to bring value. You can't just be another loop maker or just be another producer, like another guy who does like Nardowick drums, because we could find 1,000 of those. You know, you have to have some sort of value. Like, in the studio, value is everything. The only reason people want me in sessions is because I always have loops ready. If they need loops, boom, I have loops ready. They need hard drums, boom, I have the hard drums ready. You have to bring some sort of value, even if it's not loops. Like, if you can play the keys, that's a huge value, because when you're in a studio and you just start fucking around the keys, like, they're gonna fuck with you more because you bring some sort of value to the. But if you're just sitting there, you're not doing anything, and your beats are okay and whatever, like, they don't care about you. You need to bring some sort of value. And I think every single beginner producer needs to find what their value is. Like, what do I bring to the table that other people don't? Like, what is the thing that I do the best that other people don't do as well? You have to find that one thing, and you have to just bank off that and just keep going. Like, there's a reason all these producers that you see getting consistent placements all the time, like, are getting those placements. It's because they bring the value to the table. Whether it's consistency, or whether it's you make fire loops, or whether you play keys, like, you have to bring some sort of value. If you're in the studio and someone knows, okay, if I pass my computer to this person and work on this beat, they're gonna make the beat fire. When you get to that point where someone is gonna give you the computer and they know, like, okay, you're gonna make some fire, I don't even need it. I was in the studio like 2 months ago, or like a month ago, and I was in this session, and I don't remember who it was, but someone's like, yeah, Alec, you can hop on this beat. Like, I don't care what you do. Like, I know you're gonna make it fire. Like, that itself, like, gave me so much like confidence, because I was like, okay, like, this person trusts me. You gotta have people trust your sound. For people to trust your sound, you gotta grow your sound. And it's just all repetition. Just keep making loops, just keep making loops, keep making loops, and send. That's it. And like, at some point, something will land.
Right, 100%. And when it comes to standing out as a producer in general, not only your samples and craft, what are the ways to stand out outside of the music, let's say, but other stuff?
I think personality. If you have a dead personality, like, why would someone want to work with you? You have to be memorable. One thing I've realized is that these producers you meet with in studios have met so many other producers. The chance of them remembering your name is like this little. So you have to give them a reason to remember your name. And I think just personality. Like, if you're funny, use your humor. Like, if you can make somebody laugh, like, that little thing in itself is gonna make people want to be around you more. Seriously, it's just all personality. Like, you just don't be a weirdo. Like I said earlier, like, I've seen it too many times where people who don't like leave their house are like weird in session. Then they ruin their relationship. They're like, why doesn't this person want to work with me? Because you fucked up the relationship, bro. Because you're weird. You just gotta be a normal person. That's it. Be a normal person. And also, if you can have good conversation. I think if you can have good conversation with somebody, like, as I said earlier, just befriending someone, just treating like someone like a normal person, just having conversation, that already will get you in. That's how you stand out. You know, you just be a normal person and you can have conversations with somebody. Like if you can hold a convo, it'll get you far.
Yeah, facts, and probably hold a convo about that other things too, not just like act like a bot. This is my only thing, the most important thing in my life, like only WAV files or some shit, like show that you can talk about other topics as well.
That's the thing, is like I'm not even talking about talking on music. Like half the time when you're in sessions, like you guys aren't talking about music. Like a lot of the time you talk about bitches, or like you're talking about like girls, or like whatever. You're talking about like some party, something, just some sort of conversation that has nothing. It doesn't have to do with music. Especially when you can have a conversation with somebody about like something that doesn't have to do with music. That's how you know somebody fucks with you. Like if you can hold a conversation about something completely outside of music, I don't know. I think that's how you stand out. It's just personality. Like you just have to be someone people want to be around. That's it.
And the building like normal human relationships is the huge advantage, right?
Huge advantage. Yeah, it's everything. You got to treat the music industry like it's school. Like pretend like you're in high school. And if you are in high school, it's easier because you know how it works. Pretend like you're in school. Like these people are just other students, and some of these students might be, you know, straight A, like really smart students, and those really, really big smart students are the ones that are like London on the Track, or like Wheezy, or like Southside, whatever. You know, you just got to treat it like it's a school and just talk to these people like they're normal people. And as soon as you treat them like they're normal people, they're gonna fuck with you more. Yeah, I think just the human relationships is everything.
Right. Some people have to really understand this for sure.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, so I appreciate you pulling up today, man. It's been a crazy gems, a lot of value for producers, for the community, and also beat came out fire, so really appreciate you pulling up today.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Appreciate you. Everyone go follow EVZ on Instagram, on YouTube. Go subscribe.
Yeah, you got any products you want to share? You working on something right now?
I got an accent kit that I'm working on. It's a free kit. That might be dropping soon. I got a free loop kit. If you go on my Instagram, 15 free loops. 15 free loops. Crazy loops. So y'all better go get that. Crazy shit on the way, 2024. That's all I can say.
Yes, sir. Stay tuned, guys.